Braveheart, Tegan. Braveheart. They may take our lives, but they will never take our Tegan. But they did. Hello, Whovians, and welcome to my latest Doctor Who review, where today I review Resurrection of the Daleks, which is the 133rd Doctor Who story. It is the 4th story in Peter Davison's third and final season of Doctor Who, aka season 21. It is also Tegan's final story. Yes, after a long time, Tegan is now finally done with Doctor Who. Janet Fielding is leaving this story, so yeah, that's going to be sad to talk about. Resurrection of the Daleks. So, let's get into the story, shall we? The basic plot of this story is as follows. Captured in a time corridor, the Doctor and his companions are forced to land on 20th century Earth, diverted by the Doctor's oldest enemy, the Daleks. It is here the true purpose of the time corridor becomes apparent. After 90 years of imprisonment, Davros, the ruthless creator of the Daleks, is to be liberated to assist in the resurrection of his army. Not even the Daleks foresee the poisonous threat of their creator. Indeed, who would suspect Davros of wanting to destroy his own Daleks, and why? Only the Doctor knows the truth. Will he descend to Davros' level of evil to stop him? That is basically the rundown of this story. Resurrection of the Daleks. Well, this is an absolute classic. This is a fantastic story. It really is. It is quite simply breathtaking. I mean, there is nothing else like it. It's pretty exquisite. What a great way to bring the Daleks back. I mean, we haven't seen them since Tom Baker's era, since Destiny of the Daleks, and that was quite a number of years before this. So they've had quite an absence, but J&T and co did a great job, actually, at bringing them back. So I really do appreciate that. This story is incredibly dark. There's a lot of death and murder. It's not the most light-hearted story, but I like that. I think it works very well. And this is the story where I believe Peter Davison goes dark. I mean, not to the level of maybe David Tennant or Matt Smith in the later years, but Davison has his dark moments towards the end where he threatens to kill Davros. He doesn't actually go through with it, obviously, because he's the Doctor, but you really see the rage and the hatred come through of Davison. I will always say this about Davison. He's never going to be my favourite Doctor, but I think as he goes on through his time as the Doctor, he improves as an actor. He becomes much more confident, and he's getting into the roots of the character now. It's just such a shame he's only got 2 stories left. I do feel like Davison's characterization of the character is bland. That's the only thing that sets him back. He's just kind of bland, but in this story, I think he is very good and he's very driven, and you can see the anger, consuming the Doctor. The fact that this is Tegan's final story as well, she is getting horrified by all this death that's going on. I mean, she's been traveling with the Doctor for a long time, and she says she can't do it anymore because she's sick of people dying. And I think that's a very emotional way to kind of wrap up her character, actually. Tegan's exit is very well done, actually. It's quite brief, it's done very quick, so I would have appreciated the scene to be slightly slower. But I do like the dialogue that was said. She's when she's like, I'm sorry, Doctor, I can't do this anymore. I've been travelling for so long, I'm sick and tired of all the death. I'm gonna go and see my aunt. My aunt says, when you stop enjoying it, then quit. And I think she does have some great lines. She does obviously leave on good terms. She says goodbye to the Doctor and Turlough, and she shakes their hands and whatnot. And then the last line of the story is Braveheart, Tegan. And she says goodbye, and then she sort of starts crying and everything. So she does love the Doctor and Turlough as great friends, but she knows in her heart that it's her time to go. And I think it was the right time for Janet Fielding to leave. I think she'd been in the show since the end of Tom Baker's era, since Tom's last story. So, and now we're near the end of Davison's era. She's been in it for almost 3 seasons. So it was the right time for her to go. But she had a good exit, and yeah, thank you, Janet Fielding, for your contribution to the show. That part at the end when Davison says, "Oh, I must mend my ways," the Doctor is a character that deals with so much loss. I mean, and we know in the next story, Turlough is going to leave, so clearly he has to deal with that a lot of the time, but I think this particular occasion it really works. But the actual story itself, I think, is very good. The way that Davros wants to create a new race of Daleks, and he wants to distribute this virus. Funny, this is a great story to be watching at this time, isn't it? With the coronavirus pandemic going on. He wants to release this malware virus or something. I don't know if that's the correct name for it, but he wants to release a virus and kill this race of Daleks. And he's actually duplicating humans to also serve him. And he tries to duplicate the Doctor. He has duplicated Tegan and Turlough as well. And actually in that scene, we do see the Doctor have some flashbacks of all his previous companions and incarnations, which is a nice little bit of nostalgia as well. I appreciate that. But from the get-go, this story throws you in. It is action-packed. It doesn't stop. It really is epic, I think, is the word to describe it. It's very dark as well, and there's a lot of killing. There's a lot of action, a lot of fighting, and you really do feel the sense of loss in this story. It's dark, it's murky, it's grim. It's almost slightly apocalyptic, if I dare to go that far. Also, Davros returns in this story. I cannot let this review pass without mentioning Davros. Terry Malloy as Davros. I think he's very good, and I will say, though, some of his delivery can be very hammy. He does shout quite a lot, but that being said, it was the 80s, but I do think he's slightly over the top. I mean, Michael Wisher, for me, will be always the best Davros, but I prefer him to the previous guy from Destiny of the Daleks. I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name. Turlough. Turlough is okay in this story, Mark Strickson. He ends up getting captured quite a lot, which is annoying. That seems to be becoming a recurring thing with Turlough. He keeps getting captured all the time, but he's got a good role in this story. There's a lot of supporting cast in this story. Sometimes it's a bit hard to keep up with them, but generally speaking, they're all very good. A lot of them do end up dying anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. We've got Stein, who is played by Rodney Booze. He's probably the best in the supporting cast. He actually has a bit of a change of character. There's a bit of a twist with him sort of halfway through. When the Doctor and him end up on the Dalek ship, he reveals that he's actually been working for the Daleks, and he captures the Doctor. But then the Doctor helps him because Stein is conflicted. The Doctor's saying, resist what the Daleks are trying to do, because they're trying to, control the humans and everything. In the end, Stein actually sacrifices himself by letting himself die, and then he sets the self-destruct button on the ship with the Daleks and Davros, so he ends up killing them. There's a great scene when the Doctor is holding a gun, and he's about to shoot Davros, and Davros is testing him and saying, that's one thing it takes to do this, courage, which you lack. He's taunting him and he's mocking him, saying, you don't have the courage to do this, you don't have the bottle. I really like the moments between the Doctor and Davros. There's a real nice confrontation there. So this story is big on stakes. It really is one of Davison's greatest stories. It's one of his finest hours. Honestly, it is really good. The setting is present day, 1984. Well, at the time it was the present. And, again, pretty much from the word go, bang, we're into the story, which is what I like. And the pace is so good. For 4 parts, it moves perfectly fine. It's so brisk. I'm not going to go through every single member of the supporting cast because I'll be here till Christmas, but most of them are all very good, I will say. I like the sets and the production design as well. The Dalek ship looks pretty great, and I like the lighting. See, Warriors of the Deep, this is how you light a Doctor Who story. So, take that. But no, generally speaking, this is a really good Doctor Who story. I really like the voices of the Daleks as well by Brian Miller and Royce Mills. I think they're all very good. Do I have any criticisms? Well, my only tiny nitpick would have to be Tegan. It's her exit story. In the first half of the story, she doesn't get a lot to do. She does gradually get more of a role in the second half of the story, so they kind of make up for it, but I would have appreciated Tegan to have a much more central role, considering that it is her exit. But nevertheless, it's only a small thing, and it can easily be overlooked. Other than that, I have no issues with this story. It's fantastic. I really like the script as well by Eric Sawyerwood. I think he has written such a compelling, dramatic script. This is one of the most action-packed Doctor Who stories ever, and it's one of Davison's best performances, and it's one of Davison's best stories. It's directed superbly by Matthew Robinson, and you really do feel the grand scale of it. You do really feel like the Daleks are a threat in this. They are back, they are menacing, they really do feel threatening, and their designs with the grey and the black colours, it helps us to sort of get a darker feeling and I really, really do like this story. I think it's fantastic. So I'm going to have to give this story a 10 out of 10. Yeah, that might be generous to some, but, you know, I think it's honestly a classic. I think it really is. And welcome back, the Daleks. So that's great. Next time, we are going to be talking about Planet of Fire, which is interesting, which is also Turlough's final story. So yeah, from Tegan's exit to Turlough's exit. And is also Peter Davison's penultimate Doctor Who story. So we're almost at the end of Davison's era. And also it is the introduction of Perry. Yes, Perry, who's our new companion. I mean, this is really an interesting time for the show. It's a sort of transitional period for cast leaving and then coming back. But yeah, it will all be very interesting to see where this heads. But of course, season 21 actually ends with the beginning of the Colin Baker era. So yeah, don't worry. I'll be doing my season ranking in my Twin Dilemma review. So that's all I have to say about this story. So what do you think of it? Please comment down below, let me know. And bye-bye, Tegan. We've loved having you. Stay safe. And anyway, thank you very much for watching. And as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See you soon. Bye for now.